Are we headed for a depression like 2029 in the year 2025? And if we did, what would happen to crypto prices? Everybody, you got to stick around for the entire show today as we are addressing a story that is taking over the internet, causing some people to be afraid, bringing a lot of FUD into the crypto markets. But the question is, how serious and how big of a deal is it actually? We're going to break all of that down and a whole lot more. Do we have some reasons to be a little worried right now about crypto? Sure, we can come up with a couple excuses and reasons to be bearish, but we also have so many bullish things happening right now. But what you need to know and what you need to do is to look at both of them, take in the information, and come up with a plan accordingly so that you can make the most amount of money or protect your money from potential disaster. We're going to talk about that and a lot more in today's show. So go ahead and smash the like button, hit subscribe. But first, we got to roll the intro. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back, Tim. I was out all of last week for Christmas, spent some time in New York City. Go figure why we're talking about depressions after Tim visits New York City. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm joined by these two fine gentlemen you guys see with me. I want to start off with Smay. It's good to see Smay here. Smay, how are you doing today?
New York.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing quite wonderful. I had a great holidays. Just got to spend a lot of time with family.
Good.
And nothing's better than watching your teams both lose on Christmas. That is the worst thing.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
On
yeah.
an absolute
Boston Celtics
losing
and Pittsburgh
streak.
Steelers.
Yeah, both on a losing streak. So this is not anymore. The Celtics righted their wrong after Christmas, but the Steelers, man. They are just nosediving, and you just love to see it.
You love it. You love it a lot. Well, I'm good to hear you had glad to hear you had a great Christmas with family. Sorry about your teams. Tshroom, how about you? How are you doing? Feels like we haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. It's great. It's great to have you back, running the ship here. We had a great week last week. If you ever wanted to see Tshroom and Crux on the stream, go back and watch any of the episodes from last week. But Tim, you did mention something in the intro, and I just wanted to make sure that we corrected it. You mentioned a depression like 2029. I think
you're right. 1929. 1929. Yeah,
right.
Am I predicting?
Yeah, he's predicting.
Tshroom. 2029 is the year. Well, I guess you guys have to watch the show and figure it out. But yes, I did mean 1929. You guys, if you have been on the internet today, you probably know why I'm referencing that. If you haven't, we're going to talk about that in today's show. So you guys are here for a good one. Really quickly, before we get going too far into the show, I want to throw it to Tshroom. We got a special sponsor for today's show. Why don't you tell them a little bit about it there, Tshroom?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, they've been sponsoring this month's content, the month of December. This Legacy Network over on my screen, Smay here. They're leading crypto onboarding through gamified education. They've got 500,000 downloads of their app that is helping folks, come into the world of crypto and learn about crypto. It's one of the values that we hold at the Investing Bros of education, and it's something that we've partnered with Legacy Network to help them accomplish their goals of onboarding folks into crypto. So very, very, very cool. And if you guys want to go check them out, this is their Twitter account. You go check them out at legacynetwork.io. And that's just the beginning. There's so much more to the Legacy Network universe. Thank you, Legacy Network.
Where we go. Full transparency. You want to make sure people are aware, because some people will ask, do you guys take sponsors? Do you do coin sponsors? We are very picky. But even when there's a coin sponsor, I want you guys to know Legacy Network has a coin. If you want to invest in it, do further education, make sure you're analyzing it correctly. We're not necessarily telling you guys to go buy a coin. That coin's going to make you rich. When we take sponsors, we're here to help educate you about an exciting project, which after doing our due diligence, we do think Legacy Network is an exciting team. They got some interesting details, but always, 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 please make sure to continue to do your research and analyze price before you invest. You will never see us analyze the price of Legacy Network because they are a sponsor and they are helping support the channel and keeping the lights on here. We want to make sure we are not pulling anyone down a road of saying, hey, you need to invest in this project at this price and get out at this price, because even if we told you the truth, even if we were genuine about it, with them giving us money, I don't even trust ourselves to give you that type of analysis. But what we can tell you is about an exciting team, an exciting project, and send you in the right direction to do your own research. And hey, maybe this coin does make people a lot of money, but you're never going to hear about that here from the bros. We're just here to tell you a little bit more about it, more news from them. Shout out and thank you to Legacy Network for sponsoring the bros. Let's get into the show and start off with the crypto bubbles. What is happening over the last 24 hours? I will tell you, this morning, a lot of red here, a lot of red in these bubbles. But as we're looking at it right now, and if you guys have not been looking at charts, it did get a small little bounce back, We've got a lot of green in here. Biggest one, and I'm assuming that this coin jumped from outside the top 100 into the top 100 with this big 30% move, but it's AI16Z. I'm not investing in this coin. We're gonna move on. I don't know how long that coin will be in the top 100, but it is there today. But other big movers, Lido was up 9.4, Sui up 6.1%, Algo, Ina, Tia, Hex, all these coins up decently on the day, but nothing necessarily special. The market is still in limbo for sure in deciding what it wants to do. And with that, let's get into the technical analysis for today. I'm going to start off with some Bitcoin TA. We're going to have time later on the show, I would assume, for some Q&A. So make sure you guys are posting in chat what coins you want us to take a look at. But what we're watching right now, I told you guys last week, while this dip that we had back here on Friday, December 20th, when I say last week, I mean 2 weeks ago. I wasn't on the show at all last week, but 2 weeks ago when we were here, we talked about this dip back on December 20th. And I told you that this had met a lot of qualifications for possibly being the bottom of the pullback. Of course, we pulled back down lower this morning, and there's a chance we go even lower before. But my main reason for that is because we have been tracking a couple of bearish things here and levels on the Bitcoin chart, namely out on the 2 daily chart. First of all, you're going to see, before I pull up the oscillators, you're going to see 2 faint red lines on my chart. That is just always up there because when you have the Lux Algo indicator packages, you have this one, Lux Algo Oscillator Matrix, it goes ahead and registers for you. If you're not good at noticing or pointing out bearish divergence or bullish divergence, this indicator goes ahead and gives it to you. We've seen double bearish divergence over the last couple of weeks where our oscillator highs are getting lower. At the same time, the highs of price action we're getting higher. This was one reason we were looking for a major pullback. We also noticed a major sell signal on the 2 daily chart where we had red reversals, bearish momentum, and negative money flow. We told you traditionally we have found this strategy to work up to 90% of the time. You would pull back after a sell signal like that to the 2 daily smart trail. Well, guess what? On December 20th, we kissed that smart trail. Did we get deep into it? Not necessarily, but we definitely kissed it. And today we've gone a little bit deeper. But the question is the bottom in? Was that the bottom right there at 91,300? Or do we have lower to go? Let's take a look back out here. Let's go back to the daily chart and analyze a formation that's been in play here. We're actually just teaching about this today in our Broz Academy. If you guys want to learn the basics of technical analysis, if you want to learn the basics of trading, I highly recommend joining our membership options that give you access, the ultimate package, what you're looking for if you go to the link down below in the description. But what we're tracking right now is a formation that was in play called a ascending trading channel. This is 2 parallel lines where the resistance was getting higher and higher and the support was getting higher and higher. But this is a formation that often comes towards the end of a bullish trend that gives at least a small bearish correction, a pullback back down to support before the bull trend corrects. What you do when you look at these formations is you take the opening of the formation. In this case, I had to come all the way over here to about November 22nd and then go down to the support level that we had before the first touch on November 26th. You take this line to the breakout point where we lose support, and this is your price trajectory or estimate for where Bitcoin's price should be, or wherever asset you're doing, where it should go all the way down to. In this case, with us topping out at about 108,000 and then losing this major level of support with increased volume confirming it, this did give us a target down here at $90,000. You're going to see as I go back up towards our 2 daily chart, even our 3 daily chart, we have sell signals on every major time frame that is saying that this price level just below 90,000 absolutely should be on the table for everyone to keep an eye on. This is the 3 daily smart trail with the high end coming in at 89,400. The 2 daily could get us down as low as 88.5 and still be a nice strong level of support. Of course, the daily chart, we are now below, which is not abnormal this time of the bull market. We talked about this weeks ago. If you go back to where we were about 4 years ago, same thing happened where we lost the daily smart trail for a couple of days, and then it was returned back to the upside. Well, in this case, the 2 daily smart trail and the 3 daily smart trail, those are the ones that do not get lost at this point. What does that mean to me? That means I'm not expecting price to drop significantly for extended 2-day period below 88,000. Could we see a wick come down towards 85,000? Absolutely, we could. But at the moment, what I'm tracking based off of historical movements and the strength of this support level, anywhere between where we came down this morning at 91,300 and possibly even down here towards 88.5 is where I'm expecting candles to at least close. If anything bad happens, maybe a wick goes a little lower, but that's what I'm expecting. Another reason why I'm expecting is because if you take a look at shorter term liquidation charts, you're going to notice we have some interesting liquidations between 88 and 89,000. This is the 2 daily chart where we do see some liquidations there, but let's go to the 4 hour where we'll see a little bit more here. This, if you're wondering what liquidation charts are levels where if the price were to drop down, longs would be completely removed. And this is a major tactic that whale traders or experienced traders use to get rid of the weaker investors. Now you're going to notice here, we actually have a nice pocket that comes all the way down towards 85,000. That is reason number one that I do think that 85,000 is on the table. But if I go to the lower time frame, like the 1 hour chart, and look at more recent trades, you're going to notice almost everything that was entered more recently is stopping right here just below 89,000. What does this mean? To me, it would be very easy and very simple for us in our current state of lower highs and lower lows to make a major move on Bitcoin all the way down towards 89,000, have a nice correction to the upside, or if things continue the downside, that's when we're looking at these longer time frames. That's where that wick to liquidate all of these long positions, in fact, billions of dollars worth of positions will be liquidated. A move down towards 85,000, definitely still on the table. After this happens, though, that is when the fireworks go off to the upside. This is a minor correction during a long-term bullish trend. Then we make our moves to brand new all-time highs. And guess what's coming up in the next month? Less than a month from now, we will get the inauguration of the first ever pro-crypto president in United States history. But not only is he pro-crypto, he's extremely pro-crypto. The laws and the different policies that he's going to be enacting are going to be majorly bullish for crypto. So I am still anticipating a major rally. That being said, this is the perfect transition now as we talk about, again, shorter term negative movements, longer term bullish movements, but something has emerged today that is scaring a lot of retail investors, and that is a rumor, a rumbling, a thought process that 2025 could see a depression-like system that we have not seen since 1929. I misspoke in the intro, as Tshroom pointed out, but I'm not misspeaking now. There are people rumbling right now that we could see a major correction in Bitcoin and crypto prices if we were to see a depression. And the source of this is someone who might surprise you. For that, I'm going to throw it over to Tshroom, and let's break down what exactly is happening here, and if you should be afraid, or if this is a nothing burger, just FUD trying to get rid of the average retail investor. Tshroom, what do you got for us on the way of news?
Yeah, let's look at the facts. It is coming from someone quite surprising, none other than DJT, Donald J. Trump, the president. The extension of the debt ceiling by a previous Speaker of the House, a good man and a friend of mine, from this past September of the Biden administration to June of the Trump administration will go down as one of the dumbest political decisions made in years. There was no reason to do it. Nothing was gained. And we got nothing for it. A major reason why that speakership was lost. It was Biden's problem, not ours. Now it becomes ours. I call it 1929 because the Democrats don't care what our country may be forced into. In fact, they would prefer depression as long as it hurt the Republican Party. The Democrats must be forced to take a vote on this treacherous issue now during the Biden admin. and not in June. They should be blamed for this potential disaster, not the Republicans. This is quite a politically charged commentary here, but he does drop an economic word, depression. Tim, what's your take on this one?
There's a lot of things to kind of unpack here, right? So let me start with some opinions that are kind of going out across the internet right now. First of all, is this a great excuse that Donald Trump is not even officially president for his second term? Again, he was president. If you're not from the United States, Donald Trump was president 4 years ago. He was not reelected in 2020, but now he has been reelected for 2024. Is he using this as an excuse? Is he beginning the process of trying to not take blame for some sort of an economic disaster in the year 2025? That is what's scaring a lot of people right now, right? So that is the fear. That's the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that is hitting the markets today, that is causing some people, especially the strong bears, to come out of the woodwork, to get very loud and talk about how we are in a massive bubble in the world of crypto, and this depression will pop it, and we're going to see disaster come. That's not my opinion. That's just the opinion and rumors that are out there. Let's get really, really clear here what my take is on it, though. Tshroom, if you remember conversations we had months ago, I actually talked about a potential theory that the Democrats had no intention of winning this presidential election whatsoever. We're not going to get crazy political here, but obviously this is a political situation that will have a massive impact one way or the other on your crypto assets. So we have to break into this discussion. And I talked about the terrible decisions that have been made over the last, let's take the last 5 years. Let's not let anyone from Trump's administration off the hook. When we started spending money back in 2020, I guess it's still technically 4 years, but 4.5 years, I understand that we didn't really know what was happening. COVID, you can look at it in hindsight and say, oh, we should have done this or we should have done that. We didn't know what was happening. But I can tell you right now, I am one of the people that first invested in Bitcoin because of the checks that the government sent, because I understood, as much as it was nice and it was helpful to get those checks, because obviously we couldn't work due to COVID, I knew that this was going to be a mistake that would cost the American people trillions of dollars. But I took advantage of it and I put it in something that's stronger than the US dollar. I put it into Bitcoin. And that was my first investment into the world of crypto. But I knew back then this is a mistake and it's going to have ripple effects that are negative into the future. Well, all of a sudden in 2020, Donald Trump loses his reelection. I think a lot to do with how COVID played out. And then Joe Biden and his team take over and continue to make terrible, terrible decisions about spending money. In fact, I think later on, there's another news story where we're hearing about more American taxpayer dollars going outside of the country to care for other people. At the end of the day, you cannot spend and print money at this rate that we have been doing over the last 4.5, 5 years and not have some sort of terrible consequence because of it. So the days are numbered. We will have some form of recession in the future. Why? Because our debt is out of control and eventually we have to pay the consequences. But here is the detail. I think that the Democrats did not want to win presidency because they did not want to be president. They knew mathematically you can hold off recessions for a while, but probably sometime in the next 4 years, we're going to have to pay the piper. The debt's going to be out of control. Taxes are going to be out of control. You can't have low taxes and pay off your debt. Someone was going to have to pay for all this stuff, and they didn't want to be anywhere near it because they can use this information to say, oh, look how terrible Donald Trump and the Republicans are. They told you they'd help the country, but they just sent us into recession. And they count on the fact that most Americans don't track where recessions come from. Recessions rarely happen because of something that just happened. It's always from past terrible decision-making. That's my theory. But that theory also comes into equation that I do not believe that we are going to enter a recession in 2025. Why? It's year number 1 for Donald Trump. It is a position where right now you can sit here and say you don't like where our economy is, but where our inflation is, where the unemployment on paper is, where there's a lot of other things that Donald Trump can do, he has a lot of tools to hold off a recession in 2025. In my personal opinion, and I tweeted this out earlier, I think 2026 is the first realistic timeline for when a recession could happen, conveniently right there towards the end of the 4-year cycle in Bitcoin. Realistically, though, I think he holds it off a further year into 2027. I would love to see him get into 2028, 2029, 2030, and us not have a recession. but I don't know if that's necessarily doable. There's a lot of economists way smarter than me, way smarter than pretty much everyone watching this video, who have talked about the interesting details of 2027 and the tactics that Trump and the Fed and other players will have to hold off until that point. No one, Republican or Democrat, wants to enter a recession, but at this point, it is looking increasingly likely. It's looking unavoidable. So the question is when, the question is when, not if. And that when is a very interesting timeline. But personally, Tshroom, with all of this FUD that is coming out right now, causing a lot of retail investors to think through, should I stay invested in crypto? Should I stay invested in the economy over the next year? To me, this is the perfect tactic from a whale, from an institutional investor, from the composite man, to discourage retail investors from investing in these prices, letting them get out of the market, letting the price run up. And by the time you're more comfortable to jump back in, that is when the recession hit. That is when prices drop. This is something I just could see playing out beautifully. They don't ever let you know about a recession in advance. You didn't get warnings in 2008. I mean, I wasn't investing financially in 2008, but I think a lot of our listeners were. You did not get warnings that our country was about to collapse economically. Back in 1929, they weren't giving warnings that the Great Depression was about to happen. When you see warnings like we're seeing right now, I'm not saying there's not merit to them. I'm not saying there's no meat to the arguments. What I'm saying is the fact that we're hearing the rumblings a lot of times is a tactic from the composite man, the people that control the media, to discourage retail investors like you and me from investing in this market, only so that they can keep getting richer. And why am I saying this, Tshroom? Because this whole story is causing several retail investors to second guess their investments. But if you keep reading in the news, you keep looking at articles, the ones that are not opinion-based pieces, but are factual, we are watching, again, we are less than 30 days away from a president being inaugurated who has already said he's going to be stacking Bitcoin, stacking Satoshis as a reserve for the American people. We're watching Hong Kong. I think that's one of the stories we're talking about later. Hong Kong and China are talking about doing this. Russia's talking about doing this. Several other countries are talking about doing this. And what I see really happening right now, Tshroom, is a great excuse to remove the retail investor, to not allow the poor, the lesser, to get into this market and get rich, but only to discourage them so that institutions and governments and entities that have a lot of wealth can continue to pile on the money, all while you and me stay broke effectively. That's what I think is happening right now. But I'm more than interested in being called wrong. I would love to hear people's opinions in chat. Do you disagree? Do you think there's something more to this, that there actually is going to be a recession? Tshroom, what are your thoughts about this news, this FUD? Is it real? Is it fake? What do you think?
Well, there's so much at play here. I think Donald Trump's his perspective here, his words are very much politically motivated. I think his message is not really so much for investors on the bond side, equities, or crypto necessarily. I think his message is really for Washington. Is he's trying to get the GOP in line with his plan to move forward to have a successful 4 years. I think it's being interpreted by the media, right? They see these headlines, they see the word depression, and they pounce on it, right? And they're going to put that word, and they're going to put that word in front of retail and try to get them to rotate out of risk. That is not a good idea. So Donald Trump does though have to take the risk of making these types of statements, and of course he's done some sort of political calculus to be able to feel comfortable coming out and say this, but he's posturing, right? He's posturing to try to get what he wants out of Washington, and this is the way he's going about doing it. The media is far from the first time that the media has taken his words and used it for something else. In this case, it's a little bit cynical. However, I've got my HODL hat on today because there are some noobs out there that are feeling the pain, right? But we're about to get into some stories here that will remind you of what your why is. Why did you initially buy into Bitcoin? And Tim hinted at it a little bit, but I'm excited to get into this bullish stories. Tim, are you seeing any good takes in the chat?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people saying market manipulation. A lot of people saying this is normal. I think a lot of people in the Broz community, if you've been around for a while, you're prepared for this. I mean, Did we call $108,000 top perfectly? No, we did not. I want to start before I say what I'm going to say. We did not call perfectly. I honestly was surprised when we went to 108 first. It is a part. If you go back to my screen here, Smay, it is a part of that rising channel. But I honestly thought that this might have been the top here. December 4th, when we hit about 103, almost 104. I thought that was the top, right? Then we made a little bit higher top, but it didn't change the prediction we made, which was during this stage of the market, you should not be surprised by a healthy 15 to 20% correction. Why am I saying that? Because we have been rallying almost nonstop since November 5th. Since we found out that Donald Trump would be the next president of the United States, Bitcoin and the crypto markets have just gone berserk to the upside. That is not sustainable long term. That is not how markets move. Markets have healthy corrections. But if everything's so good, if retail's confident, if institutions are confident, if everything's bullish, how are you going to get a 15 to 20% sell-off? That doesn't happen. What has to happen? You have to have some form of a narrative, some form of FUD. You have to print something to scare retail investors into selling all of their Bitcoin. Well, that's what we see going on right now. Of course, I wasn't here for last week, but you guys dealt with all the Tether stuff last week. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. We're dealing right now with a potential 2025 depression, but all the while, go back to my screen here. How far are we down from that high that we just had a couple of days ago? Well, currently, we've gone down 15.5%. Where could 85 take us? If we hit 85, 20%. What was that number we threw out a couple weeks ago? 15 to 20% pullback would be a healthy, normal thing. Even if those levels get hit, this is all a part of a normal, healthy bull market. It happens. Go back 4 years ago to 2020, 2021. Bitcoin corrected at this time about 30-something%. Go back to 2017. Bitcoin corrected 35%. Corrections during this stage in the bull market are not the end of the bull market. They're just a breather, but every single one of them has to have something that makes you sell off. And the reason to sell off was there was FUD in the news. There was reasons that people were a little bit, overextended and wanted something to go to the downside. So what do? You scare retail investors. And by the time retail investors sell out, now it's time for the prices to rally once again. It's a tale as old as time. It's a part of a bull market. You got to learn how to ride the bucking bronco, ride the volatility. Don't get scared and fall for every FUD or FOMO story you read.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump on into the bullishness here. The first thing I will point out is this. Former German finance minister Christian Lindner calls for Bitcoin to be added to the ECB and the Bundesbank reserves. Now, this is not quite as a recognizable name as Donald Trump, but this is the top job from a financial regulator standpoint in Europe, and he was the former German finance minister. Top not in Europe, top in Germany. This is very bullish, right? Kind of following in the footsteps of El Salvador, of Bhutan, and what Donald Trump will be doing here in just a matter of 22 days. So very, very bullish here. If this goes through, it's just another domino kind of cascading in the right direction. But it doesn't stop there. Bloomberg says BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF is the greatest launch in ETF history. IBIT has grown to more than 50 billion in assets in 11 months. U.S. ETFs played a key role in Bitcoin's rally over 100,000. And this alone is one of the most bullish forces in the market right now because it's unlocked an entire class of buyers that did not exist before. And that's institutions. Put simply, it's companies and it's 401k holders who otherwise would not have even dreamed of buying Bitcoin spot, and instead have been able to get access to Bitcoin's price action through these ETFs. This is, again, we have kind of moved past it because this is a headline essentially from last January, of January 2024, but this cannot be overstated. And then it doesn't stop there. So we talked about the EU gaining momentum towards what we're seeing all around the world of Bitcoin reserves being proposed, and in the case of El Salvador and Bhutan, actually passed. Here's another one. Hong Kong lawmakers proposes adding Bitcoin to national reserves to improve financial security. A Hong Kong legislator, Wu Jie, has proposed using the city's framework known as One Country, Two Systems to add Bitcoin to its national reserves. Wu proposes this, citing the move would bolster the city's financial security. The lawmaker highlighted countries including El Salvador and Bhutan who have embraced the flagship asset as a strategic reserve. Now, we'll see. This is a pretty interesting one, right? If there was ever a part of China that was going to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, it definitely would be Hong Kong first. This is starkly not Beijing, I will point out. This is not coming from Beijing. This is not coming from Xi Jinping. This is coming from specifically Hong Kong, but it is China. And so, with that is our bullish news.
Let's make sure we're clear. Even though Hong Kong it has some differences from China, what we have noticed in Hong Kong is that it's almost like China uses Hong Kong as its testing dummy, as its guinea pig. Hey, does this work for Hong Kong before we integrate it into the mainland of China? That's what we see happen. So even though technically this isn't the entire Chinese government saying let's do it, if you do not think the Chinese government has involvement or control over what happens in Hong Kong, then you're fooling yourself. They absolutely do. They just conveniently have two different segments that they can try things out in a smaller grouping, see how it builds wealth, see if it actually works, and then transition that into the mainland. So this is not surprising to me. It was a matter of time. And I think it's a matter of time before we hear the mainland of China, before we do hear Beijing is adopting Bitcoin to their strategic reserve. Why? Because they're watching the United States do it, because they're watching other countries do it. They're watching both allies and technical enemies do it. And what are they going to do? It's not like the Chinese yuan is doing well, guys. You guys complain about the US dollar. The US dollar is actually doing quite well. If you look at the Dixie chart, we might do that later on. The Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, not doing well. So if they want to keep up with / compete and beat the United States economically, they got to find a different way to do it. And the best way to do that is Bitcoin, is cryptocurrency. And they're watching the United States get a president who is very, very bullish and who's starting to add it. They got to keep up. This is the future of Bitcoin. It is competition for both financial and economic control, even when it comes to government entities, not just businesses. So again, I said this earlier, bearish FUD out there. Right? Retail's freaking out. Bitcoin is down 15% from recent all-time highs. And you see a lot of Tether's going down. I put a tweet out earlier as well, Tshroom. I said, if I had $1 every time Tether, and we had bad news about Tether and Tether's about to crash, I'd probably only have $50. But still, that's a lot of times in 4 years to hear that something's going to die, and it continues to be a very strong company. These stories of bearishness are conveniently placed towards retail viewers, retail investors, to discourage them. But if you look at the big money, BlackRock, Grayscale, America, China, Russia, Brazil, India, you're watching major bullish stories come out. It's a bait and switch. Hey, you guys don't buy. We're going to give you guys the bearish story. Don't buy so that we can continue to gain as much of this amazing asset at low prices as possible. It's a perfect tactic. And unfortunately, I'll tell you this, it's playing out very, very well for all of these wealthy individuals.
Tim, we do have some breaking news. I'm not exactly sure how to interpret this, but if you go to my screen here, Smay, the U.S. Treasury says China hacked its workstation in a cyber attack. I'm only seeing this so far from Watcher.guru. I haven't corroborated this from multiple sources. I will do that. We'll press on with the rest of our show. But you have any thoughts on this one? I mean, I don't know what a workstation is. I mean, I can imagine what it is, but that seems like
what do they hack? I mean, did they hack vital information? Did they just hack the accounting of the Treasury? Like, what did they hack exactly? So I think before we see any consequences or get more information, there's not a lot to do there. The terrible part of that news, Tshroom, is simply the concept of espionage. I mean, that simple. If China is able to hack into government agencies, American government agencies, that's a problem. That being said, we're here in America, so we always hear about those things. I wonder, I don't know if anyone here is from China or knows more about this. I wonder how many times in China they're getting updates that America has hacked something in their government as well. Let's not pretend that America is sitting here twiddling our thumbs, minding our own business while everybody else is hacking us. It is definitely a two-way street. So I don't want to overreact to this news. It is something to be aware of and to tag and to say, hey, let's keep an eye on this. But I'm not necessarily too worried yet.
Yeah, that that may have an effect on the markets. The fact that that's so it looks like it's hitting the markets now, the media now. That's being released, but it was also released about 15 minutes ago on Reuters. U.S. Treasury workstations
And
breached.
the markets would respond to that before retail hears about it. I don't see a major correction over the last hour or so.
I also don't know that
I'm not too worried about it yet.
I don't know that it'll be interpreted as a major threat to financial markets until that threat is much more clear. I think at this point, it's just kind of a head scratcher, and a couple of people are probably freaking out because they know what it means.
Another question I would ask, think about the logic of it. Why would the U.S. Treasury be telling the American people they were hacked by the Chinese government unless it was to scare them? Like, there's actually a level of this is it definitely a nothing burger because we heard about it? It's the things you don't hear about that should be the scary details. If they're telling the American people that they were hacked, well, that's just embarrassing. I don't know why they would do it unless the tactic is just to flood people out.
Yep. Interesting development there. Well, one news story that we will be covering a lot more tomorrow as we're exiting the news, getting into the potentially Q&A. I got a factoid coming up, so don't go anywhere. But what we'll be talking about tomorrow is this. Breaking Grayscale Grayscale Research updates its top 20 crypto assets, and they've made some surprising adjustments. We love to talk portfolios here, so we're going to dive in and give our perspectives on this one. Really, really interesting for sure. And then the last headline as we move on, we talked about inflation. We were to mention this. U.S. announces 5.9, just under $6 billion in military aid and budget aid to Ukraine. So that's according to CNBC. This is a pretty big spend, and just trying to squeeze that lemon as hard as they can here in the final days of the Biden administration.
That is something I've always been a little bit perplexed. I wish it was both ways. I understand that there has to be a transition period once you find out there's a new political party taking over. And again, we've for the most part been under Democratic control for the last 4 years, and then we're switching to where we'll be under more of a Republican control. Why is either side allowed to make crucial decisions in the last month? I feel like there should be a pause with everything new. Just, hey, let's transition everything. Let's get all the new parties up to date and everything. I don't know why. I wouldn't want the Republicans to have either. Like if in 2028 a Democrat is nominated and voted into presidency, I don't want Trump and his administration making key decisions in the last month either. I think that's a little silly, but that's a side tangent. Let's get into some details here. Go ahead and start dropping. We got a lot of time here. 3:37. We're having a lot of times for Q&A. If you guys want to ask questions about the economy, if you want to ask about specific charts, I know, last week I was out. I know Tshroom and Crux did a great job, but I'm sure there weren't as many charts being done. If you guys have charts you want to take a look at, I'd be more than happy to take a look at some of those as we, continue to wrap up the show here. But there was a comment in here I saw that I wanted to address. I think it was from Pew Pew Cruz, which, by the way, shout out to Pew Pew Cruz. Been a viewer for a very long time. Always love hearing his insights and getting to see him in chat. But he made a comment. I'm not finding the exact comment because I think it was a little bit back. But he pretty much said there's not retail investment in just yet. And he's technically actually right. The amount of new retail investments, or the amount of where we will be retail-wise at the end of the bull market, we are nowhere close. That's another reason. This argument that there's not a lot of retail here, another reason why there's going to be a lot of bullishness coming. Why? Because there's not many suckers who are going to buy the bags of a top movement. And institutions in Wales know that. When I say retail, though, when I'm saying shaking out loose hands, what I'm talking about is a retail investor who's been around for a couple of months, maybe even a couple of years, but wanting to master the top. Especially, I think there's retail investors who are I use this word trauma. They have 2021 trauma where they did not take profit at 69,000. They continue to hold on because they thought 100,000 was coming. They don't want to miss the top this time. And so whereas they missed the top last time because they waited too long, there's a lot of retail investors who are going to try to front run the top and look for any reason to sell because they're convinced that the market's over. And to be fair, they're going to be selling close to $100,000. They should be selling in profit. But overall, the retail that I'm talking about being taken away is not enough retail to drop prices back down to 50,000, 40,000. Heck, I've seen some bears roaring continual today that $10,000 Bitcoin is still on the menu. I would love to buy Bitcoin at $10,000, but I would have questions about its sustainability. Like, I would want to see what if we have $10,000 Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin still alive? Like, is it? I might actually genuinely be concerned if Bitcoin be dead. A 90% pullback in Bitcoin, I just do not see that happening whatsoever. That being said, it's not going to pull back that far. We don't have enough retail investors willing to sell to get back that far. That happens much later in the bull market when grandma and grandpa and Uncle Joe are buying Bitcoin at the top. But there is enough still to drop price 15, 20%. Heck, again, 4 years ago this time, we were able to drop price by 30%. 4 years before that, 35%. We're a maturing market. And with the ETFs and with the governments and with the Michael Saylors and the MicroStrategies of the world buying it in so much bulk, the volatility is diminished for Bitcoin. But it still is there. And like I said, liquidation charts are very, very important. Go back to my screen here, Smay. I want to show you guys this again. By the way, this indicator, I've never seen anyone else have a liquidations indicator on TradingView. Usually you have to go to a third website. You have to go to another place and look for it. But this is a part of the Broz indicator package. There's a link for it down below. It's separate from Luxalgo. It's a different thing, but it's very cheap. We purposely made it very cheap. And it allows you to have several different things. But one of them is this liquidations levels. And what these liquidation levels are is they communicate where retail ultimately is trading, where the major levels of resistance and support based off liquidations is sitting. And experienced traders and whales and governments and institutions, in other words, the composite man is he uses these to his advantage to liquidate retail, to liquidate other people so that he can buy the best bottom and then rally back up to the top. And in this case, when we do have some above us, it's going to be very interesting to watch when Bitcoin goes back up above 110 or back, goes to over 110,000. For now, though, I'm still watching this grouping around 89,000 and then down here towards 85,000, saying, can we make a dip down towards, 100,000 or to 50,000, 40,000? Probably not. But this is within striking distance. This is extremely easy. If we were up at 110 right now, I might be saying, yeah, that's asking for a lot to go all the way down and fill all those liquidations. But the fact that we just this morning scratched almost into $90,000 range, to say that we couldn't drop another $5,000 and come back down to 85, that's a little foolish. People need to be prepared. You can have bigger pullbacks. But again, zoom out, think about it. That's only a 20% pullback if it happens. That is nothing in the grand scheme of how bull markets work. You should stay bullish, but look for, again, somewhere to purchase between 85 and 90,000. If you can buy anything between 85 and 90,000, I think you're getting some of the best prices for Bitcoin you might ever see ever again this time moving forward. But let's take a look here in chat, see what is going on. I wonder, Tshroom, because you've been watching while I'm talking, what chat are you seeing here that we should respond to? By the way, people should be smashing a like. We have 850 people watching right now. Thank you to all of you guys. I know a lot of people still out for holidays, seeing family. So honestly, this is a great level concurrent. 238 likes though. Let's get that number up above 400 in the next couple of minutes. Smash that like button. But yeah, what do you see in chat, Tshroom?
Let's see. There's a decent amount of interesting. A lot of. Let's see. 2040s, we'll see a depression if government does not fix spending and deficit issues. We will see a true recession in 26 or 27. A reset will be good, and lower interest rates give government with interest payment. Yeah, help government with interest payment. Yeah. And again, the current official estimate from the Federal Reserve is that we would see a recession by 2027. So, yeah, I think 2026 is probably that buffer year where it could start then. We shall see. But the idea is that you want to be liquid during that time, because during a recession, asset prices are going to get extremely devalued. And I'm not just talking about crypto. It'll be, real estate, potentially stocks like Apple, Nvidia. You want to be as liquid as you can be. It sucks to sit up here as a crypto enthusiast and talk about holding cash stable coins potentially, or just US dollars or euros. But that really will be one of the best ways to position yourself for 2026, the second half, and then 2027 is to just sit on cash, maybe gold, Bitcoin. I think there's a strong argument for just holding Bitcoin specifically, not altcoins, again, after 2026 has begun, and just seeing what kind of discounts you can get on assets, and maybe not even going back to the financial markets, maybe just coin laundry, or going out and buying a furniture company or something, in your local community. So recessions can be beneficial. That's how the rich get very, very much richer, as they wait till the recession to buy low.
I see a couple of people. Yeah, I see a couple people asking about AVAX. Now, again, I was out last week while I kept an eye on charts, and I tried to pay attention to major news. I don't know if this question is being asked because something popped up about AVAX. Tshroom, are you aware of any AVAX news that would be bullish or bearish? Why are a lot of people asking about AVAX? I don't know of any updates there. So I'm still extremely bullish on AVAX. I think I've shown you guys before. I think that we could easily on AVAX see a $400 AVAX by the time it's all said and done. I said a couple weeks ago, it didn't quite make my list of coins that would 10x because it was sitting above $40. Well, guess what? Right now it's sitting at $36.73, which means unless something crazy bad is going to happen, I think that AVAX is on the chopping block of being a potential 10x. Chopping block's the wrong expression there. That's a negative connotation. It should be on the podium of being a potential 10x from here. So if you were patient, you haven't invested in it yet, you're looking at a very good space to get invested. Yeah, did you see any news on AVAX? Which, by the way, we also had some super chats. I noticed earlier in the show. We got to go back and find, but I'll let you answer that question.
No, there's not really any news on AVAX. I know they had a pretty big upgrade last month in November.
Yeah.
So I doubt that there would be any super significant news, but I'm not seeing anything coming up right now for them.
Davey Cakes says Bitcoin has to get to 75 to get to 240 Elliott waves. Okay. Davey Cakes, I'd love to hear and see your analysis. Join our Discord. Drop that thought in our Discord. When it comes to Elliott waves, I'm going to kind of answer this for other people listening. You might be saying, what's Elliott waves? Elliott waves is another trading strategy theory that I've seen a lot of people be successful with. That being said, I myself, while I've studied Elliott waves a good amount, don't use it. And the reason why is because it can get kind of messy. I joke with people that I've seen 100 people explain Elliott waves, and I've heard 100 different explanations, meaning everybody treats it a little differently. So it sounds like Davey Cakes, the way he uses it, the way he's tracking it, he's looking at a pullback to 75,000 before a major rally to 240. And maybe that happens. I don't see that with my other analysis. I'm a big believer in finding confirmation confluence, but maybe that happens. But there's also a chance it doesn't happen as well. So I would love to hear the theory. I'd love to hear the argument, but I do want to let people know Elliott wave theory is very complex and messy theory that people should trade lightly and use it absolutely in confluence or in addition to other analysis. S Flow Review says, what do I do with my 4,000 shares of XRP? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I don't know if I have 4,000 shares. I do. I have more than 4,000 shares. I'll tell you what I would do with my 4,000 shares of XRP. I had to think about the price action there for a second. I would hold them. I would hodl on. Not selling my XRP just yet. People get so topsy-turvy emotionally based off of what's happened in the last 5 minutes. I mean, a month ago, people were talking about XRP taking over Bitcoin, and now people are asking, is the bull market over? The same reason why I was bullish on XRP back when it was at 46 cents is the same reason I'm bullish on it when it was rallying like crazy. And it's the same reason I'm bullish on it again now that it's, back down at $2.11 after being all the way up at, $2.87. These markets do this. If you think that bull markets are just straight upward trajectories with no pullbacks, no boring periods, no consolidation whatsoever, then you're the type of person who floods out very easily. You're the type of person who's not going to make it long term. You have to understand how cycles work and how bull markets work. They do not go to straight lines to the upside. There's volatility. There's moments of consolidation. In fact, let me show you guys what I'm kind of meaning here. Go to my screen here, Smay, and take a look with me. This is the XRP chart, right? I don't know why anyone would look at this and be bearish or be upset. In fact, just really quick analysis. I'll tell you what's kind of happening right now. Formationally, it looks like a symmetrical triangle pattern is in play of some kind, right? You can do candle bodies, you can do candle wicks. Either way, you can look at this and say we have consolidation going on. Well, what's happening before this consolidation? Well, you have a nice explosive frame right here called a pole. This is what we could call a bull pennant, right? So it's like a pennant, a flag pennant attached to a flagpole. Well, the way you trade these is you make this same line, you take it over the last support level, and you look at that trajectory. This says $11.79. I would love to see it. Will not happen by January of 2025, guys. It's not. We're not going to see $11 XRP by then. That's a little quick. My overall point here is that we're still sitting in an extremely long-term bullish formation. But let me remind you, I've done this analysis for you before. Let's go back to previous bull markets. Let's go back to the most explosive XRP bull market back here all the way in 2017, where XRP would explode out of a symmetrical triangle pattern, very similarly to the symmetrical triangle pattern we just exploded out of right here. You guys see that with me? Rising support, falling resistance, we exploded the upside. Same thing happened in 2017. Falling resistance, rising support. We exploded all the way up to 6 cents. Then we dropped back down to 2 cents, meaning 60% pullback. We traded for a couple of weeks sideways, doing absolutely nothing, and then exploded up again here into May of 17, all the way up to 37 cents. Then we would spend all of May until December, more than half a year, in a sideways, boring, symmetrical triangle pattern again. What happens? Does that mean the bull market was over? Heck no. We would go again. We'd pop off here from roughly 25 cents all the way within a couple of weeks up to $3.31. And that would eventually be the top of that bull market and is currently the all-time high for XRP. Should you have sold? Does this mean, because we were trading sideways for multiple months, did that mean the bull market was over? No, it did not. But I guarantee you there was lots of people who said when we went from here and we went up to 7 cents and dropped back down to 2 cents, you said that was it. Tops in for XRP. Get out now. And they sold the bottom. And then there are probably people after we dropped from 38 cents down back to 13 cents. That's it. Tops in. Get out now. Only to miss out on a massive, massive bag going to the upside. Same thing right now. Don't respond to your emotional gut. That's just saying just because something hasn't popped off 70% in the last 5 minutes, that doesn't mean the project's dead. Consolidation happens during bull markets. This is time to be patient, to find a way to hustle and make some more money so you can invest even more. You definitely don't want to be selling at this point. You want to be adding to the bag, or at least, if you don't want to add, hold on tight because we got a long way to the upside. XRP is one that I think is going at least up to 940 by next year, but I still think 1660. I think $16 is on the table for XRP. Why would you sell at $2 when you could just hold on, get an 8x from there, and get all the way up above $16? Hold the line, XRP Army. If by the way, I'm not your mom, so if you don't want to hold the line, you don't have to. You can go on my screen here, Smay. You guys do whatever you want with your money. I'm just telling you historically what these things have looked like in the past, and people who have sold at this time period in the past, they end up crying a lot because they missed out on massive gains.
Yeah.
Tom Riddle says $16 is almost unfollowed territory. Tom, is that because it's too low? Oh, it's too high. It's too high. He says difference is this time everyone knows XRP is trash. Well, Tom Riddle, that's your opinion. You are Voldemort, though. So can we really take your opinion too heavily? Way too high. Oh, well, he's going to take over Hogwarts eventually, or try. I'll be Harry Potter.
Someone asked me how my golf went this weekend. I got a chance to go to Topgolf for the first time, and it was fun. It was hard to actually focus on the game, and because I just got obsessed with just hitting it as far as I could. So that was Topgolf for me. It was fun. It was not cheap. You know, if you're looking to save money and buy crypto, definitely don't go to Topgolf.
What's the current rate of Topgolf right now?
I don't know. I didn't have to pay for it, thankfully. I was with a party. Wow. So yeah.
So how did you know it was expensive?
The looks on the faces of the people that paid for it, which thank you very much.
All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a break. We might have time for one or two more questions afterwards. It's time to bring up Smay and get our factoid of the day for the day. But first, I want to let you guys know, if you guys are watching this, if you're listening to the show and you're saying, man, I want to invest. I want to learn how to trade the way Tim and Tshroom do this. I want to get going. Well, you guys have been seeing a lot of indicators up on the screen, and it's an indicator called Lux Algo. I learned how to trade many years ago, but once I started using Lux Algo, all of my trading successes multiplied. And right now, there's a sale with Lux Algo. If you go to my screen here, there's a link in the description down below. If you go to my screen, there's a sale right now. We thought this was wrong with the show. I had to text the CEO and say, hey, are these prices right? This is way too low. Because we just had a Black Friday sale. If you buy a whole year of the Ultimate Package, which comes with back testing, it comes with AI software that helps show you the probability of certain trading strategies. It's a super tool. Only $33 a month when it's normally over $60 a month if you buy a whole year. If you buy a monthly, it's almost $100 a month. But right now, if you act between now and the 6th, you can get 45% off and only pay $33 a month. I highly recommend you guys sign up with that today. And then if you're looking for a place to go trade and you're saying, well, how do I get in on these trades? Well, first of all, when you purchase Lux Algo and you join our Discord, you get access to our VIP trading group where we talk about how you can trade on exchange like Blofin every single day. This is an amazing indicator. No KYC is needed. Over 300 different coins. You can trade futures and spot over here on Blofin, but no KYC, no VPN required. Super cheap fees. Go check out Blofin with our link down below. And oh, by the way, when you sign up for Lux Algo or Blofin in our links, or both of them for that matter, you enter 2 different giveaways once a month. One of you guys will win $500 from the Broz. Our way of saying thank you so much for being a part of the community. Go sign up with those links down below today. Smay, we're going to bring you on here and get our factoid of the day. How are you doing? And that laugh.
I'm doing great. I pushed the wrong button. I pushed the wrong button. I was trying to be discreet, and we all got to see Tshroom's lovely smile, which was a benefit. That was a benefit for you guys.
You're doing a great job, Smay.
Thank you. Hey, you know what? It wouldn't be a Smay show if I didn't push a wrong button here or there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just my signature at this point.
Very true.
But, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and consult with the elf and see what the elf cooked up for us today here in the Factoid Chamber. Again, same image as last time. This elf is getting real lazy. He thought he's going to impress me by adding the Bitcoin, but now that's two episodes in a row now. And we're really going to have to talk to the elf about this one. I know he's sitting right there, but I don't think he can actually hear. So it's all just a special elf sign language we do with him. Anyways.
B.
What?
B.
I haven't read the question yet.
Oh, I'm reading the question for you.
Okay.
The blockchain scalability trilemma posits. That's a word. Posits.
That's a word. Okay.
That blockchains must trade off between 3 key properties. These are speed, security, decentralization, scalability, security, decentralization, efficiency, consensus, and trustlessness, and throughput, transparency, and security.
Yeah, we'll double up on. We're confident on this one. We're going to double up on B here, Smay. We're going to give you.
You're going to double up on C.
On B. On
B,
as in butterfly.
B as in butter. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, that's what I needed to hear. So, anyways, oh, sorry, wrong button again. Wrong button, guys. The drum roll. Woo! You guys got it. There it is.
I second guessed myself there. I thought it might have been A, but yeah, speed.
No,
you would think that speed would be there, but essentially speed and growth potential is all summarized within the word scalability.
Speed is an aspect of the scalability. Can you keep the fast transactions as you have more of them being asked for? So scalability encompasses it.
And you know what, guys? You guys are just too smart, and the elf is too dumb, and this is just.
Yeah, this is a good learning moment though. And if you guys are like you come in and watch our show, you're like, I don't really care about buying and selling crypto. First of all, thanks for continuing to watch. You're more interested in the crypto of it all, the technology. Which look, you're hearing me say that, you might laugh, you might chuckle to yourself. There's a lot of people that are in that boat. They could care less about making money here. They want to learn about the technology. We don't talk about the technology a ton, but we're about to be doing that a lot with our new YouTube channel. We were just actually talking about it today in a meeting. Alpha Bros, that's coming in January. So stay tuned. You'll be hearing more about it very, very soon.
Well, we had a super chat here from Retro Mike Tech. What I was going to say is we also had a chat. Crypto Alchemist. Fun fact. This is a fun fact on the Factoid of the day. We had, for this season, for this football season, we had a Investing Bros, what is it called? Fantasy Football League, which we'll do again next year. Stay tuned for that. Smay, we'll love to have you get in there. But we did have a winner, Crypto Alchemist, longtime listener. Met him down in Miami here a couple years back. Great guy. He won, and he asked a question earlier, Tshroom. Even though we didn't talk about this, should the winner of the fantasy league get a prize like, say, free access to the Investing Bros memberships packages?
You got to do something.
It's something to chew on. Something to chew on right there.
Did I meet Crypto? Is this somebody I met?
No, you didn't go. You didn't go to that Bitcoin conference.
That you said a couple years ago.
This was post. I think it was 2 years ago, and I don't think you went to that conference.
We're not going. We won't. All right.
Was it last year? Maybe it was last. No, it wasn't this. It wasn't 2024. It was 2023's Bitcoin conference. Was what it was.
Okay. Well, your name sounded familiar, so I thought I maybe knew you, but never mind. Anyways,
Crypto Alchemist, stay tuned and go tag us in Discord. We'll talk about that. I think we'll come to something for winning fantasy football. You absolutely deserve something from the Bros community. Retro Mike Tech with the super chat saying, trick question. The trilemma is a scam and made up term to make Cass feel relevant. Oof. Is Crux in chat? He's crying. He probably left chat to go cry a little bit from the continual hate towards Caspa. Retro Mike Tech, thank you so much for that super chat. With that said, it is 4:00. Smay, any final words for the people before we wrap out today's show? By the way, we do have Q&A right after with Tshroom. So if you are one of our members, our VIP traders or higher, absolutely check out the VIP or the Q&A with Tshroom in a second. But Smay, any last words from you?
I mean, yes, I'll give some last words. My last words are this. As silly and goober as I am, I will say I have been in these, at least market adjacent to the crypto markets for many years now. And one thing I will say, just to kind of back up Tim, as somebody who's like, I feel like I'm just now starting to really get back into the throes of it being like, full time, right? But I'll say like, we've just lived through this before with during the last bull run, where there were all kinds of periods of things where it's just like, ooh, it's not looking good, it's not looking good. And, my claim to fame, funny enough, back in the day was always to just kind of pick the under. Because every time I picked the under, I'd be correct, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's clairvoyant, he knows the future of the market. It's like, well, but now I think you realize it's cyclical, that this kind of stuff happens. If you just, you're in a bull run, it's going to have moments like this where it's not going to be perfectly up to the right, but it's going to be the people that kind of hold on, diamond hands, and you guys don't sell. Like, there were many opportunities with coins that I got into back in the day that if I hold on to those coins, like I got into, I'm not saying that this is a good investment, whatever, but I got into Dogecoin back in 2020, back when it was like, or no, 2017 rather. I got Dogecoin in 2017. I had 700,000 Dogecoins that I bought for $7. Yeah. So, and I doubled it, got $14. But like, just think about that for perspective of like, what happened. I got fudded. The person who told me to buy it told me, well, actually, it's got an unlimited supply or whatever, and so it's probably not going to, go up or whatever. So then I, abandoned ship. I think this is the opportunity where you guys can say, okay, maybe if I just hold on a little tighter, and, well, for good reason, obviously, not being stupid, maybe like that little meme of the guy mining, you just keep going a little further, you'll get the treasure you're looking for.
Yep. There we go.
Back to you guys.
Of the three of us, Smay actually has been investing in crypto the longest of the three of us, Tshroom. How about that? Tshroom, any final words from you before we wrap out the show?
I mean, we're approaching, a time where, you start to make your New Year's resolutions, be thinking of some good ones. Encourage your children and other people around you to kind of take stock of the goals that you'd like to see achieved in the new year, in 2025. Is it cliche? Yes. Is it a little bit, silly to make goals? Perhaps, but take advantage of it. And especially for the young ones in your life, get them on board of self-improvement, self-bettering, whether that's in the crypto world or just in everyday life.
Yeah. You know, my final thought of the day, Tshroom, is very similar. It's about we're getting to the end of the year, the time where people start making resolutions about what they want to have. I want to encourage people. I mean, I read a study, and this is old studies. Maybe it's greater, maybe it's lesser, but like 95% of New Year's resolutions are deserted before February 1st, right? So less than a month is all it takes to get people out. And you know what that really communicates is it communicates a lack of discipline. So as we come into the end of 2024, we birth into 2025, a brand new year. I really want to encourage everybody right now to be chasing discipline. Sometimes goals are a little too lofty. I'm not saying don't have big goals, but like what is the most common, New Year's resolutions? I'm going to lose X amount of pounds, and it's usually a pretty large number. I'm going to make X amount of dollars. Well, when you don't have the miniature steps to get there, when you don't have discipline, it's really easy to be emotional on June 1st and make grand plans, but if there's no discipline to back it up, and if there's not manageable steps to accomplish it, that is where people fall. So I encourage you, two things. Number one, work on discipline. Discipline means you do something whether you feel like it or not. And there's consequences, whether self-inflicted or maybe you have an accountability partner that you say, hey, if I do XYZ or don't do XYZ, I get some sort of consequence for it, right? Discipline is an absolute must in almost every area of your life. But I also encourage you to start with the small things. You want to lose some weight? Don't make a resolution about the amount of pounds you want to lose. Make a resolution about how many times you're going to exercise per week. In the world of investing, we're going to put a video out probably on the 1st talking about New Year's resolutions for trading. But this is the time to go back and look at what happened in 2024. What were the things you did well? What were the things you did poorly? How are you going to improve your trading or investing in 2025? Reflecting and remembering and applying discipline, stop losses, trailing stop losses, take profits, looking for 2X's rather than 100X's. What can you do to improve your financial, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual well-being in the year 2025? But start with the small steps and start with discipline. If you need some help, come join the Broz community on our Discord. We'll keep you accountable. We'll pay attention every single day. We'll encourage you. Love to see you guys over there in that Discord. But with that said, that's going to wrap up today's show. I will see you guys tomorrow, the final show of the year 2024. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Adios.